How many of you have more than 5 years of experience? One. And how many of them are 10? Wow. Do we need this session?
Maybe more. Maybe more.
Okay. So I just thought, Professor said, let me introduce the Honorable Monk and then me. Honestly, I feel there are two monks in this room. One who believes he has sold his Ferrari. Right? I left the corporate world 3 years back. I'm still flirting with it a little bit. My intention is to stop it completely, but it's still happening. So this is what you see today. And they've gone through the entire deal course, right? Yeah. Okay. So this is the presentation that I made today and the conversation that I have today with you is about my journey and its interface or interaction, success and failure with what he talks about. Yes, so I'm actually opening up my life for you to get a feel of it. Let me start by telling a little more about. So these are the products that I have handled over the last 24 years when I quit from Mahindra in December 2022. So a lot of them are automotive and consumer durables, and a very nice 1 year stint with a market research firm which added a lot of value to my journey. These are the brands basically, which Professor already explained to you. And of course this also is shared with you. I thought it's very good to give back, and also when you stand here and speak to people, something wonderful happens inside your head. So I am gaining as much as you are probably, is my personal feeling. Very quickly, this has been my journey. If you just want to sort of get calibrated, I spent a lot of time in Ahmedabad. I did my engineering from here, and then Pune University MBA. And these are the companies that I have worked with. Been in the Middle East, working very closely with the Toyota Motor Corporation as the principal, and then of course back in India with various things that you see here. Okay, and I call it a roller coaster ride because a lot of ups and downs that happen in the career and also in the personal life. And when Professor Vishal explained to me the purpose and objective of this course, that we keep interacting. He is my mentor, right from meditation to living better is what he's taking me through for the last, I would say, 6 months. So this is one question that he and I have been talking and I have been reflecting on. That what were the last 36 years? What was the rat race all about? Why did I do all that? What was the game? Particularly now when I'm 60 and I look at my life, look at my family, and my objectives, a lot of which are met, a lot of which are not met. So this is what I'm reminded of. This quote has been sort of bothering me for many years. I would say I must have first read it about, say, 15, 20 years back. I just chanced upon it. And as the years passed, I realized it is very relevant. In your case, it's the beginning or the middle part of the journey. But as time passes, and I'll show you why, man sacrifices his health in order to make money. How many are familiar with this quote already? Okay. Right. Man sacrifices his life in order to make money. Then he sacrifices money to recuperate his health. And then he's so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present. You know the point about mindfulness that we discuss in these sessions. The result being that he does not live in the present or the future. He lives as if he's never going to die. And then he dies having never really lived. Why am I narrating this? Let me tell you aspects of my own story. And this is one reason why definitely these two are not my favorite people. I'm sure you're very familiar with this episode. And I actually turned blue and black when I heard these things. Terrible is what I felt. And why? Of course, all of us can relate to this. And you guys have good working experience, so you know what I'm talking about. I have a daughter who's changed 3 jobs. She's 30. She's changed 3 jobs most of the time because Saturday morning को call आता है. संडे को शूट के लिए जाना पड़ता है, 7 बजे के बाद बॉसेस एक्टिव हो जाते हैं, right? So we were all facing this problem, and there is this huge problem with these two gentlemen and many more like them wanting us to use the Chinese model of let's build our nation very quickly and sacrifice all that we have. I don't know what they're talking about, and I honestly can't relate to this. It's 70 hours plus travel, 90 hours plus travel. Dude, is there enough time like that in the week? I don't know. So I personally am not in favor of this particular model, and I love what people like Mr. Mahindra and Rajeev Bajaj and Harsh Mariwala have all said. I think there are two. I think the entire corporate world is split into two as of now. And both of them want the nation to prosper, but the approach is different. One talk about work-life balance, the other talk about forget everything and just do it. Now a little bit from my story. This is 1993 when I left from India for Oman to be the marketing executive for Toyota. Full of enthusiasm, wanted to do new things. I was very happy that I was going to work with Toyota, Lexus, world-class brands in a global market, international market, way ahead of India in terms of the physical comforts or the customer profile in terms of high net worth individuals and things like that. And also learning Toyota ways of working. I was there for 12 years, and this is how I returned. Massive gains and value adds, as you can see, right? I developed a lot of health problems, as you can probably sense from this. And the reason was very simple. Please do read the headline of this slide. That's when we reached Muscat and my daughter was born. And that's when I came back 12 years later. And I personally believe, although it's not good to blame external factors and one should internalize what goes wrong with you, but I still like to blame the way the working was structured here. I'm sure you'll be surprised when I say 365 days. You might be thinking it's an exaggeration. Let me explain to you the logic for this. The chairman of the company, an Arab, very Indianized Arab, Sheikh Saud Bawani, running a $4 million Toyota franchise in the Middle East. He one day came to the office on Friday. I'm sure all of you know Friday is a holiday in the Middle East. Yeah? So he came to office on Friday and he found nobody there. So he asked the office boy, किधर थे? He said, sir, Friday को नहीं आते हैं लोग. He said, oh, these guys deal with Toyota and they don't come on Friday. So next day he called my boss, the marketing director, and he said, what do you guys do on Friday? This is, we go out with family, we play cricket and all. He said, oh, so Toyota is working on Friday in Japan, and you guys are not working. I said, no. He said, what about Saturday, Sunday? Is Toyota working? He said, no. Toyota is not working on Saturday, Sunday. He said, well, that means 3 days a week, a $4 billion business doesn't talk to the franchise, the principal. We just go blank. We don't respond to them. Nothing happens. Can you not start working for at least 3-4 hours on a Friday? And those are the days when there were no mobile phones. You had to depend on fax messages coming in, take a print, sit and respond to that, send a fax back, right? I mean, it was not like today, where you can approach your office from anywhere. Office is in your hand. It wasn't like this. And hence started the journey of coming on Fridays, which I think in many ways made the life very unidimensional, and a lot of us were in this state. Many people used to just expel themselves after 3-4 years in working in that place, because nobody could stand this kind of work. For some reason, maybe family reasons, because even my in-laws were there. I probably continued there, and I started relishing it because I had that social support which at least my family would enjoy while I was all the time in the office. So, just let me give you a flavor of the health problems I was facing. So I developed a disease called sleep apnea. I don't know whether you're familiar with this. It's a disease in which you have a very disturbed sleep. The rapid eye movement stage never comes, and it's very fragile. And then you wake up and any possible opportunity where you can put yourself in a chair and you start sleeping. I've slept in a proper meeting with my marketing director as he got onto a call. I was making a presentation, he got onto a call, and after some time I hit my head on his table. And he said, what kind of a guy is this here? Just go and do something about yourself. And the last nail in the coffin was when I was driving towards office and the car stopped on a signal. I went to sleep. The car stopped at the signal and I didn't stop and I slammed the guy in front of me. I said, boss, now something has to be done. And that is when I came back, and that's the day I left for my bariatric surgery. I don't know how many of you are familiar. They reduce your ability to consume food. It's called a restrictive sleep vasectomy. It doesn't sound, I mean, it's not as often as it sounds. Basically, they reduce your capacity to eat. I went through this, and the gains were palpable. Can you recognize me in both the pictures? I lost about 48 kilos I lost. Yeah, I put on 15, 20 of them back. That's because they repaired the stomach, not the head. It's the same guy who wants to have fun on the neck. So this was it, but I put it this way. When I asked my doctor, I said, is it necessary to go for this surgery? How dangerous is it? So he told me, well, it's quite dangerous. It's very risky. It's as risky as a Mumbai-Delhi flight. Are you sure you will land? But I can tell you one thing. If you don't do this surgery, you will die today, very soon. So please make a positive change in your life. And I took the plunge. I like to do things which will make things positive, even if they are risky and dangerous, but you have to move in the right direction. I wouldn't want to be crippled for the rest of my life rather than take steps. Then I went for the next one. The knees were giving a problem because of the obesity or hereditary reasons. And this was in 2019, and now I personally feel that I'm as normal as any of you here. So, why did all this happen? And we know the background of what our friends from LND and Infosys have been urging us to do. I definitely think that one of the main causative factors for this was the work-life balance or imbalance, if you will. Yeah? Look at these things. Your company would make you do an employee as a promoter score survey. Most of you are familiar with Gallup scores, right? The Q12, the 12 questions, to measure the satisfaction of all of us, right? With our employer, with our bosses, with our company, with our packages, with our appraisal processes, right? And then an action plan comes out of that. And then you are told that please take care of your team. They are extremely unhappy with the way things are going. Don't give them, and most of the time, I would notice it was work-life balance. So work-life balance is what we have to correct. And Friday evening, you will get a call saying that on Monday there is a meeting with the executive director. Can you just put the deck together? Familiar? Right? So we get it. What happens to work-life balance? What do you do on Saturday and Sunday after that? You go to the zoo, you go to the beach, you go to the mountains, or you have the con calls and exchange slides and put together the deck and be ready for a meeting with the boss. Early morning flights, very efficient there, less expensive. You start your day early, right? After finishing the previous day at the time you do. Then make day-long trips, no? Go to Delhi and come back by night. Why do you want to spend more time or money there? And these I'm talking about big brands, working with big brands. And then the perpetual con calls and you're about to cut the cake, families around the table, and the guy wants you to get onto a call right away. Something very critical. I've got everybody else on the line. And then after all this, the employer's promoter score survey happens again. And the scores don't look better. How will they? Is my question. So, when Professor accidentally explained to me and also made a presentation to us at one of the courses where he was we invited faculty. That 4-hour session was one of the best most of us have ever attended. I mean, I can tell you with confidence that we are all very lucky to have come across somebody like you. And this mindfulness course that we went through, it made me reflect on my life, and I told you know what, in some way or the other, I want to be associated with your program. I can't give the right examples, but I can definitely give an example of what not to do in your life. And that's what I'll be a fortunate. Yeah, so when I looked at this word cloud or word tree, as you may call it, I don't know, I never thought these things had a place in our life or corporate world. You know, dog eat dog, crow eat crow kind of situation that we live in. And then things like love, gratitude, kindness, empathy, peace. I've heard of pieces of each other, but peace, very difficult. So anyway, one saw that, and by the way, in Mahindra also, we were made to go through a module on mindfulness, but it did not really seep in. We just saw it and we said, as if it's possible. And we left it as that. So there was a lot of cynicism when we were being told that be here and now, don't live with the guilt of past, don't get worried too much about what will happen in the future. But we said, well, yes, sir, अच्छा the conference हो गया. It didn't really percolate and register. But then there are some leaders, familiar with them? People understand who he is? Dr. Pawan Goenka? No? Okay, so he was the managing director of Mahindra for almost a decade. For 20 years, he came from General Motors. And Scorpio, he is the father of Scorpio. And that's a big statement because before Scorpio, Mahindra was a tractor company. You know, the gear knob used to go 6 inches this side and 6 inches this side throughout the drive, like this. And it was very difficult to explain to the engineers why the gear knob should be steady. And now you have, feather-like gear knobs. So he's the one who brought the transformation from a tractor company that only knew how to make solid vehicles which can plow the land to a luxury vehicle where we can. And now you know where Mahindra has reached. The starting point was this. And I just want to narrate this experience of an excellent example of mindfulness. So I once sought an appointment with him to seek an approval for a launch. I sent him across 120 slides and he told me 20 minutes. You have 20 minutes. So when we met, I told him, sir, there is no way I can show you 120 slides in the next 20 minutes. I was seeking for more time. So he said, okay, show me slide number 4, 16, 38 and 72. He already knows everything. And I showed him all those 4 slides once again. And while I was on the last slide, and by the way, he came to the room without a laptop, without mobile phone. The tallest figure in Mahindra Group, busiest man, nothing. He just came all by himself. He was there and now. There was no encumbrance, there was nothing pulling him back. And as I was showing him my last slide, I was quite amazed that he was all the time for me. It was only me and him for those 15, 16, 13, 14 minutes that we were together. And his secretary came in with the phone, saying, sir, you have to take this call. He said, no, this is Rajeev's time, I'm not taking it. I said, this is the chief minister over there. And then he made a face and he said, okay, Rajeev, he went out, he finished the call, and he came back. And I was sorted in about 16 minutes. He said, fine, you can carry on. And give me my 4 minutes back. So, I would say that there's so much more that you can do if you really follow the principles of mindfulness, being here and now. It de-stresses you in so many ways. I've seen it in action. In Mahindra, it used to be followed very rigorously. People would not be allowed to look at their phones while they're in a particular session, except for the one who's recording it. So that's the kind of experience I had, and I really enjoyed working with them. The other important thing, which is, I don't know whether it's really a part of a team, but it's fantastic to build organization in a nice way. I'm sure you're familiar with this figure, the sculpture of the thinker which is in Paris. This is actually the slide which Mr. Mahindra presented. I mean, I'm talking about the photograph. When launching the course, Reflective Conversations in Mahindra Group. And after that conference, I think it was in South Africa, each of us went through a 2-day module on how to lead a life where the conversations become reflective. Deep listening. You know, as a boss, there's a tendency to take a decision the moment something is shown to you. This course encouraged us to give others a chance to speak. And I was telling Professor, a year later, it became difficult for me to decide on things without consulting my people. I would just, anything new put to me, I would say, what do you feel guys? What should we do? What is your view? And I would collect their inputs. Not that I would democratize the decision. I would take a decision that, I would take a decision that is in my view, the right one. But after having heard everybody and justifying to the ones who are not favoring their view, rather than saying, you know what, this is what I'm deciding, take it or leave it. And involving all stakeholders. And I realized a lot of times, because of the concept of a reflective conversation, I would change my opinion. I would say, oh my God, I didn't think of it this way. And in fact, there was a time when I started operating from a conference room that I was given with 5 people of my team, 5 key guys of my team, sitting with me from 11 to 4, including lunch. And any mail that would pop up, I would double click. My mails would never have a mistake. Because once I would start, I would say, how should we reply this way? And people would give their opinions, and I would start typing. And then guys would say, sir, there is a typo in the second row. So the process was so involved. At any given time, me and my team, we were all on the same page. I had nothing to hide from them because our journeys were common. And really enjoyed using this approach which makes things calmer. There's no conflict in the team. There are no watertight compartments. You know, I never use the approach where saying, okay, now we are discussing digital marketing. So you guys please leave the room. Why? Let everybody sit and contribute. It's your KRA, but doesn't mean that the other guy can't contribute. And I think that also made the life of the employees a little more richer. They would at least get a hindsight view of digital mein kya chal raha hai, rather than being told to leave the room, like it was done to me by my bosses when the discussion on pricing happened. He said, please leave the room. I said, sir, why? Then I said, please leave the room. It's too strategic. You are not a part of this. And I slammed the door and left. Tell them. At least I didn't do this to my colleagues. And sometimes HR used to ask me, salaries are controlled by us, increments are controlled by us, promotions are controlled by us, and nothing is really great. Then how come people from your team are not leaving for almost a decade? So I said, well, because you give a watch, when people finish 10 years, maybe they are waiting for the watch. That's the reason they are not doing. But by the grace of God, I had that reputation of my team sticking to me. And I quite liked it. I think that's the most important thing. I always like restaurants where years later when you go and you find the same waiters. Something good is being done on the employee front for that kind of a retention to be there in bad jobs also. Yeah, so some of these things are very useful and I urge you to please try them in your careers also. And as I said, after this very turbulent phase that I went through, when I had to go under the knife twice, I took some calls and decided that I need to run my life differently. It can't go on like this, whatever be the consequences. And to win something, you have to lose something. So this is what I decided. And you know what? Sometimes the worst periods bring something good. I don't know about your experiences, but in my case, I think the COVID period was a fabulous period for reflection. Fantastic. There was so much time on hand, me time. Right? People not knocking on your doors and saying, can you just clear that mail? Or can you give me that approval? Or can you please sign these papers? Or we've been called for a meeting. It was a time which was totally our me time. And I personally think that it really made me change tracks, step back, ask myself, what do I really like? In fact, in the first place, I ended up doing a lot of things that I liked, right? And then I didn't want to leave them once COVID was over. So I think it helped me take a step back and actually disentangle myself from the grid. Rather than being in the situation, I could watch it and say, why do I need to wear these cufflinks and ties and jackets and go for meetings in office and all, when I could do everything for 2 years, right from appraisals to audits to new campaign launches, to new product launches, everything, right from my recliner. Okay, I know I need to go back to work, but why with the same intensity? Why can't it be hybrid? I was not willing to let go what I picked up during that period. Basically, I think I ended up I'm sure you're familiar with this, right? The concept of Ikigai. So I basically discovered, my mojo, my Ikigai, what I really like, in addition to making a living. And I decided to implement it. Here was the outcome. I like to be in the light, I like to do photography, and I did that. I intensified my trips, irrespective of what the job requirements are. I would do at least 6 to 8 safari trips in a quarter. With every change of season, I would want to be out there. All these are my pictures, by the way. Not only that, I also pursued the other habit of cooking, which again became amplified during the COVID, because I was at home and ordering from out was not a good option for at least for 6 months or 8 months. So I kept trying. I used to love it right from my childhood, and I pursued this activity. And also, her name is Lady, our puppy dog, our Lady Love. And I still spend a lot of time. You will see in many of these pictures where she is with me in the car. Wherever we go, I travel to Mumbai, Pune, whatever. She is a part of us. If it delays us, if it makes me do less, no problem. Let it be. But that's the way I want to lead my life. I'm doing a balanced thing. As I said, I left Mahindra in 2022. This was post-COVID, as you know. It was a very conscious decision because I didn't want to continue in the same life, traveling all the time. And no, I said I could be more possible. And also the good news is that 3 years down the line, as I was telling you, Vishal, Mahindra called me back as a consultant. So now I'm getting half my salary, which was quite nice salary. I'm getting half of it for going to office for 1 day. I think it was a smart decision. I'm saying this to you because at some stage, you should decide how you want to run your life rather than the corporate world putting you into a centrifugal pump, and before you realize it's all over. And my only regret is what I did in 2022. I think if I had done, say, 5 years back, nothing would have gone. In 2-3 years' time, my business is well established. I have multiple clients. I'm presenting and I am under my family. I couldn't do this when I was in Mahindra. Not that I developed these abilities in the last 2 years, but there was no time. And I didn't have this kind of freedom. I couldn't be standing here and talking about my corporate career while working at some place. Right? So I feel that please decide when you want to do it. And there is huge potential in all of us. The day I left Mahindra, I got my investment consultant and I said, boss, SWP चालू करो. You know what is SWP? Standard Withdrawal Plan. इतना पैसा बचा है, 8 से 10% में ग्रो होगा, तो हर महीने उसमें से थोड़ा थोड़ा निकाल लो और जिंदगी जियो. I thought that will be my life. But I think my monthly SMS of being a retainer is the same as what it used to be during Mahindra days. So nothing changes. Only the direction of where it comes from changes. We have huge potential is what I have discovered. So the bottom line is try to be happy, because if you postpone it to tomorrow and say today I have a conference or today I have a presentation or today I have to do this, then happiness may just remain on your own and it will not happen. This is my personal experience, and I firmly believe that every day should be a celebration. In fact, I started overdoing it. At 7:30 every evening, I started celebrating. Vishal Gupta explained to me the difference between pleasure, joy, and bliss, right? So I was more on the pleasure front. I'm now trying to evolve towards the joy and bliss part. That's it from my side. There is this nice book. I know the professor has given you a long list, but this is a very nice book with colloquial examples on, one of the cartoons which I forgot to put here was how our mindset decides what will happen to us. So it shows a lady sitting at a desk and saying, "Oh God, it's 4:30. I'm about to get the migraine. About to get the migraine," and the migraine comes. So isn't that sometimes we make wrong things happen to us rather than be positive? Yeah, so this is from my side. I hope my open book gave you a feel of what I have gone through and some lessons for you to do it better. Do it faster. Don't drag it to 55, 60 or not, is my request. Thank you very much.